Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about business model and what that is. I would highly recommend for everyone to have a business model, right? So write down the business model for yourself to keep. But once you have written it, you need to constantly redefining it and constantly to improve that business model. One that you would write down, not necessarily share with nobody, right? So one, that's my personal preference, right? Once you have it, do not share it, right? I would like to put it as that's a blueprint, how you like to do things, right? So blueprint, keep it and do not share it, right? Someone, okay, whatever case might be, whether that would be a local council, local government, bank, perhaps your, I don't know, friend, best friend would ask for you to show it or share some information about your business with those people. I would highly recommend to do copies of the blueprint, something like a white paper, only one person put into words that only need to know basis. So share only details what that person needs to know about your perhaps some of the insights about your business model, right? Either way, share perhaps some information. What would you like to share? Only that, right? Even since the people who gonna be reading that white paper, right? So you have blueprint, one that you have done it for yourself. From there, you progress into white paper, and if you really would like to share white paper with some of the people, perhaps investors, number of close group of investors, a close circle, that one that you would like to share, and from there, you need to understand how important that is with some of the people who you're sharing the business model with. I could I could talk about this for days. Some of the people I have met, some of those people don't even understand what they're doing there. Not even talking about. So the person who sits there not necessarily understands the customer service in the first place. Who is out there asking for that business model for of your business in the first place? He doesn't understand customer service in the first place. Not even discussing how to start a business. That person most likely don't understand how to start a business, and perhaps haven't seen number perhaps 4 or 5 business models in the first place who have been completed by a number of different professionals, right? So if that's a person who is up there to criticize your business model in the first place, so even from there it just it would go to such absurd level, right? So let's say you would pick one of two options, right? And the doing your business model, you're gonna pick new subject that most likely you cannot disclose because of intellectual property in the first place. Even if you're gonna pick a new subject that haven't been done before. So that person, I don't know, 20, 25 years old, who gonna read your business model in the first place, would gonna say that one gonna work. So that's option one. Option two, would be a business model that you're going to share with that person who have read perhaps 5 business models in his entire life, right? Haven't written a business model, right? He would say that all that thing was already completed, right? Even if you might choose something that was been tested, so that person would say it's already been completed. It's nothing inventional. It's nothing new. So it's gonna be two outcomes, right? So there's gonna be a lot of complaining in the first place. A lot of people are gonna do a lot of pushback, and you're gonna need to secure finance for your business model, right? So I'll save a lot of time for you and with how to share some information, but especially about the things that you actually care about. Do not share blueprint, right? If anything would be any takeaways, do not share blueprint. Perhaps if you have to share only need to know basis, some information would, if you really want to secure finance, would perhaps professionals, right? So someone who perhaps has some credibility, if anything. Perhaps if there would be some people out there who actually has some credibility, you might want to have some feedback based on that. That most of the time would be a loss though. That's my personal experience currently. Perhaps in the future I would think differently about some of the subjects. It's just because of the people that I have to work with based on my locations, based on UK. I have to work within my region. I need to speak with those people, and I can run circles about those people I'm talking to. And since I'm up there running circles around them when it comes to running business, operating business, and they need to advise me. If it's really up there, if you some people are there really up to a challenge, right? So if you're interested in challenging yourself, right, write down your business model and share some of those students that share your business model with some of those students and ask for feedback and see what kind of feedback are they interested in giving you. So perhaps you just see your attitude, right? You keep checking yourself and keep checking your attitude when it comes to sharing some of the sensitive information with the students. A business model is a concept framework that outlines how the company plans to create, deliver, and capture value, which can be very sensitive and expensive for you to share freely information with others. It describes fundamental aspects of how business operates, generates revenue, and sustains itself. A well defined business model helps a company understand its consumers, competition, and the market it operates in. Where there are various types of business models, and a company may use one of a combination of them to achieve its goals. Either way, I would like to cover the book that I'm currently reading, if anything. That's this video is just my opinion, so I do think for yourself. And if anything, I would like to offer my personal experience, the way how some of the obstacles I'm currently dealing with, and some of the unprofessional people out there. But that's my own feedback. But perhaps I have reached out to a number of different regions within UK. Some of the regions operate on different level. Perhaps they do or produce more businesses and they do operate better some of the regions, but that's my personal experience operating with some of the quote unquote support of the perhaps there's some changes, they perhaps restructuring companies, know how it works, right? So some people perhaps progress into doing something else and they hire new staff, someone needs to work with that staff, things are going to happen like that. If anything, I would like to share some of the examples, right? How it can potentially operate as a business, but not necessarily for many business or traditional business, but for high scaling business. How you yourself as a business, especially when you going over different cycles, right? So once you reach in different cycles, the startup progressing from small to medium to large enterprise, and how you constantly need to redefine yourself as a business, right? So depending on how you're looking to scale your business, how many staff you're looking to hire, and how what kind of structures you're gonna add to your business, right? So your business model, countries every so often, every 2, every 4, some of the countries depends, every 8 years they're redefining themselves, they're changing values. Some of the organizations like top technology companies that I'm reading without sharing project names, right? They constantly redefining themselves. Some of the companies up there, they have put together a concept how to describe this process. But once you have some pushback as well as how you're redefining a business model as a business leader up there, constantly, it can be every 6 months or so, right? So it's constantly changing everything, right? And some of the people up there, if you were to share any information, to say the least, any takeaways, share with the people who have some credibility and really understand what you are talking about in the first place, so we can offer some feedback. Otherwise, they're wasting everyone's time. Let's take a look at some of the business models, right? Or perhaps some of the not necessarily entire business, but perhaps some of the core concepts, as well as perhaps entire business models. Business models, subscription business models. Customer pays a recurring fee at regular intervals, monthly, annually, to access products or services. Examples include some of the top technology companies without naming any particular names. I'll be sharing some information in the future videos about some of the very challenging industries and some of the strategies of that, if anything. Not saying particular projects, but perhaps strategies of the way how those companies thinking in a way how to acquire customers, as well as perhaps how to acquire a large percentage of markets, how to reach different points within the companies is something that everyone can apply these principles instead of perhaps promoting particular company. E-commerce model, business sell products or services online throughout website or a platform. most of the time they will not necessarily would have a physical shop, or perhaps would have access only to a warehouse if that would be a physical product. I would like to summarize what my intention was for this particular video. I would like to begin by perhaps to put into perspective and looking at, for reference, some of the companies up there. Amazon as a company would not necessarily begin by, uh, they would be looking for how to make, or perhaps cost savings of delivering books, and from there they were experience different problems and see market opportunities out there within their business. So they were, Amazon as a company was redefining its business model constantly, right? So even right now, so AWS, Amazon Web Services, right? So some of the companies out there, they would begin with one concept, they would do that and progress into the next one, next one, next one, next one. They just give you a perspective as an example. Something that you are doing right now as a business, or you are planning of doing, that not necessarily reflect you as a company and what you're going to be doing in the future, perhaps the next 12, 18 months. And then people are asking me to submit this business model. I don't know what they're actually asking me. So they're asking me perhaps, or they would ask you if it's something that you're going to be doing in the future. They would ask you to prove that you understand what you are doing. Perhaps that's what they're really asking, because that not necessarily will reflect, or if you would like your business to succeed in a ever-changing world, you're constantly going to need to redefine your business model, right? So you you when you're submitting any documents up there, it is perhaps worth mentioning that that's an idea, and you're looking to secure finance or interest within that idea, and that idea would change over time. So perhaps you're just sharing your idea that could potentially cost, it's very sensitive information, can cost a lot of money for your business, and you can cost your success to be criticized by not necessarily credible people in the first place in order to succeed, to receive finance. If anything, I personally believe that a lot of people are just asking you to show that you understand what you're doing, but you haven't done it before. And it's one gonna be what you're gonna be doing in the future. So, so this is what they ask, really asking when they're asking you for business model. uh, if anything, there are some projects where they not necessarily would ask you for business, but they would ask what kind of products and services you're going to be looking to offer to large groups of people. But they would ask, or they would structure some of the competitive process up there. They would ask perhaps to train large groups of people. I prefer those, some of those. Whoever came up with this concept, I prefer this kind of concepts a lot. I believe they serve better compared to some of my overall feedback, right? So those concepts are way better compared to products or services that you're going to be offering, because those going to change. So in the first place, if it's government, the intention is perhaps for you to take on more people. Yourself as a company will pay taxes, as well as those people going to take taxes, as well as they need some perhaps guarantees that you would be able to offer a good return on that money that those governments would be able to offer to you in the first place, and then you can lead that group of people. So I prefer those concepts. Whoever came up with those, I believe that's a good process overall. For people out there who are interested in learning more, I have published this journal. Within this journal, I'm looking at different areas. Some of those areas would be time, the way how you should focus on your time, as well as how you should manage your time. This journal is structured this way, so it would be enough for you to develop a habit. This habit would last for a minimum of a quarter, so that will be plenty of time for you to stick working from one cover to another cover, to cover all these areas, as well as sticking to daily routines, right? Within those daily routines, I have identified particular areas which I personally believe are very important. That would be perhaps 3 things to do, as well as your personal development, professional development, time management, physical activity, just name a few areas, as well as perhaps finance and other areas which are very important for the people out there who are looking to succeed. You can find it in the description below, as well as Top Retailers has it. A successful business model aligns with the company's core competence, target market, and competitive advantages or unfair advantages. Some people would define it like that, but either way, it should also be flexible enough to adapt to changing market conditions and customer preferences. If within the government where your business is operating, perhaps you have access to a lot of natural resources, for example, right? So that's an unfair advantage where you can potentially have access to a lot of resources as a business, then you can produce a lot of those products, physical products. That's one of those areas. The choice of the business model is crucial strategic decision that impacts company's revenue, cost structure, and overall long-term viability. I'll be discussing that a little bit later in the future videos. I'll be finishing this book. I'll be doing a review within this book so you can do your own research. But I would agree with those people up there who would say they constantly need to redefine the business model is constantly changing. Perhaps you need to have some abstract things to hold on to when developing your business, but not necessarily that would be something that's how you think your business is gonna look like in the beginning, not necessarily it's gonna look like that within the matter of 18 months, 24 months or so. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.